jean jacket on one more time, so that means part 7. Hello guys, one more time and welcome to Ring Royalty. My name is Alexis, as you already know, and today I'm bringing you the part number 7 of cancelled storylines. I can't believe we're already in part number 7. I mean, that's crazy. I can't believe it, like time flies. But anyway, today I'm bringing you 5 news stories that were cancelled, and we're talking about 3 different companies: WWE, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. So there's a lot to unpack in this video. So without any further to say, let's start with these 5 interesting storylines. The first storyline I want to talk about is from WWE and probably the most recent on this list, and it would be Lacey Evans as Raw Women's Champion. So Lacey was supposed to challenge Asuka at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view for the Raw Women's Championship. Of course, this didn't happen, and why this didn't happen? Because of pregnancy. Once again, pregnancy getting in the way. Excellent. No, I'm just kidding, but Lacey Evans is legitimately pregnant, so she cannot compete. So for that reason, the match at the Elimination Chamber was cancelled. Now, it was reported that Lacey was supposed to defeat Asuka in the pay-per-view to become the Raw Women's Champion. Why? Because the original plans for the Raw Women's Championship was Lacey Evans against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. I was surprised because even though Lacey and Charlotte have been feuding and WWE is really putting some effort, or was putting some effort into that feud, I didn't expect it to be WrestleMania material, you know? But it looks like the two blondes were supposed to headline WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm not surprised, as Asuka has been treated as an afterthought despite being the champion. Now, in my humble opinion, I think this is something that wasn't meant to be. I think there is not a big loss in this cancelled storyline. It's not that Lacey doesn't deserve to be champion, but I feel like Lacey and Charlotte don't really have much chemistry in the ring together. In the few matches that they had, they haven't really showcased the best that they could do. Neither of them look smooth, or neither of them look that impressive when they have a match together. Maybe they just need to train a little bit more, but I think it wouldn't have been something that would make the Raw Women's Championship feel special and prestigious again, because this specific title has been suffering for a while. I'm going to say that I'm glad that this didn't happen. I am curious to know that Asuka's injured, what is going to be the match for the Raw Women's Championship at the grandest stage of them all. I'm quite curious. I am hoping to see maybe Peyton Royce get in the mix, and maybe Rhea Ripley, who is debuting, not just Charlotte. But we will see about that. So in this case, Lacey Evans as Raw Women's Champion sounds like something fun, but I guess it's just not the right time or the right place for her to hold the championship. So I'm glad that this didn't happen. The second storyline that I'm going to talk about is Brandi Rhodes against Jade Cargill feud. They have been teasing this feud for months now, ever since Jade debut and basically trash talk Cody Rhodes. I mean, that was impressive. And Brandi Rhodes, who will tell you this is open mic night, bitch? Like, this is the best promo I've seen Brandi cut, and probably the last, because Brandi Rhodes is stepping away from wrestling for a while. So the reason why this was cancelled once again is because of pregnancy. Brandi Rhodes got pregnant and now she cannot compete. So for that reason, Jade Cargill and Shaq debuted against Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. It was a great mixed tag match, but it's not what they were aiming for at the beginning. It wasn't bad. I really enjoyed the match, so I think Jade had a good showcase, but my question here is, what could have happened if Brandi was the one in that spot? I think it would have elevated Jade a little bit more just because it's Brandi Rhodes, that is a household name in AEW. I am not Brandi's biggest fan. I think Red Velvet wrestles millions of times better than Brandi Rhodes, despite having probably less time as a professional wrestler. Once again, it wasn't a big loss. I'm pretty sure that as soon as Brandi is back in AEW after giving birth, they're going to make her feud with Jade somehow. I'm pretty sure about that. I feel like that was they were trying to do. I think it would establish Jade a little bit more in the division. Not that she needs it. And surprisingly, this is another storyline that I am not upset that it was cancelled. I feel like Jade could have killer matches with other women on the roster, such as Britt Baker, Ali, Hikaru Shida, so maybe it was good that she had this first match with Red Velvet instead of Brandi, and then she can move on to brighter things, and maybe she could be the breakout superstar in 2021, who knows. I'm really happy for Brandi and Cody because they're going to be parents. I'm really happy for Jade because she's going to have a bright career in AEW during this year, so I guess this was a win-win situation. I don't feel like it would hurt anybody at all, not their characters, not their storylines, because all of them seem to be pretty established already, despite Jade and Shaq being new. I feel like AEW already has many plans for them in the months to come, so I guess we're not missing anything by this storyline being cancelled. The third storyline that I want to talk about is probably the most interesting out of this list and the one that I was hoping that it would happen. And it involves this little baby over here. And what's the storyline? Chelsea Green as Mickie James fan. Do you remember back in 2005 when Mickie James debuted as Trish Stratus' biggest fan? I mean, how can you forget? It is one of the most amazing storylines in women's wrestling history. That psychotic fan angle was so awesome and it brought a lot of eyes to the women's division back then. And the plan was for Chelsea, a newcomer in the SmackDown roster, to be Mickie James' biggest fan, and they would recreate this psychotic idea with Mickie now on the other side of the storyline being the idol and Chelsea being the fan. It already sounds so awesome on paper, and the reason why this was cancelled is because, if you remember correctly, Chelsea Green debuted on SmackDown around Survivor Series time, and her first match was a Fatal 4-Way qualifying match where she faced Liv Morgan, Tamina, and Natalya. Sadly, her first match was her last for a while because she broke her wrist again. I feel like Chelsea Green has really bad luck ever since she moved to WWE because she gets injured pretty often. It was such a shame because there were reports that some backstage segments between Chelsea and Mickie were already filmed, but they were never aired because Chelsea was injured and the storyline would not be able to continue. And that is such unfortunate. I feel like Chelsea Green needs just this big storyline to showcase everything that she can do, and I really want Mickie to have one more run in WWE, a decent one may I say, to say goodbye because probably she will retire pretty soon. And I really think she can still deliver matches and she's such a great character, so WWE should use her to her full potential in these last few years that she has of career. If you saw my video of everything wrong with Mickie James 2020 return, it was such a lackluster return and she deserves so much better, so I feel like this storyline was what she needed to shine again, and unfortunately it didn't happen due to injury. I feel this is a big loss. It could have reignited the SmackDown Women's Division because they already had Sasha Banks in the title picture over there, but they could have a side feud that would still make people invested in the women's division. Mickie and Chelsea could have had one feud for the ages. I already seen Chelsea play crazy characters. I don't know if you have watched Impact. Her Hot Mess character that she did there was just on point. She played this psychotic and delusional woman who was so frustrated that she didn't care about anything else anymore, and she did it so well that imagine what could have happened if she had this window of opportunity to play a psychotic character along one of the greatest of all time in Mickie James. Chelsea and Mickie are definitely a recipe for success. Oh, I'm so mad that this didn't happen, but I am hopeful that probably when Chelsea Green heals up from her injury, they could start this storyline because Mickie still has a lot to offer to WWE and Chelsea is basically fresh and new in her career, so she had a lot of potential and they just need to give her the right opportunity to show everything that she can do. Hashtag Mickie deserves better. Hashtag Chelsea don't get injured, please. The fourth storyline I'm going to talk about is from Impact Wrestling, and it would be Kylie Rae as the Knockouts champion. Kylie Rae, why? Kylie Rae was supposed to challenge the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo at the grandest stage of them all in Impact Wrestling, Bound for Glory, for the Knockouts Championship. It was a high anticipated match because Kylie Rae has been #1 contender for a while, and a lot of people were expecting Kylie to dethrone Deonna Purrazzo and become the Knockouts champion. And that was the result that was supposed to go down at Bound for Glory according to some reports. but it never happened. Why? Because a couple days before Bound for Glory, Kylie Rae announced her retirement for pro wrestling. Why? I don't want to trash talk Kylie Rae, but I feel like every time she has a big opportunity in these high profile matches, she backs down. Remember when she was supposed to be one of the main women in AEW's women's division at the start of the company, and she suddenly quit and returned to the indies. Now she has this big opportunity in Impact Wrestling, and when you're about to get the championship, you just decide to retire from wrestling? Like what? She said that she was sick, but still, like, there have been some previous events that I don't know what happens with Kylie Rae. Maybe she's just not ready mentally or emotionally to be at the top of one company. I'm not sure what's happening there. Well, we all remember what happened that night. Deonna Purrazzo came and trash talked Kylie Rae, then Su Yung returned, and Su Yung was the one to dethrone Deonna for the Knockouts Championship. Now, let's keep in mind we all love Su and we were very happy that she won the championship, but that was supposed to be Kylie Rae. And I'm really curious what could have happened if she was the top of the Knockouts division. I mean, the feuds that she could have had, Kylie against Taya Valkyrie, Kylie against Rosemary, against Jordynne Grace. They all sound like great feuds because, like it or not, Kylie Rae was such a spectacular athlete. She could do things in the ring smoothly, she had a great moveset. Her character was like Bayley's, but at the same time when she became this aggressive competitor in the ring, it worked. Everything that she had was on point, so I have no idea why she decided to retire. This was a huge loss for the Knockouts division. I mean, they are still stacked, but I feel like Kylie Rae brought something special that no other woman could bring, and it is such a shame that she actually decided to leave pro wrestling that way. I even expected a rivalry between Kylie Rae and Su Yung, because I mean, Kylie was friends with Susie, but not with Su. Imagine that demon Su Yung against such a lovely girl like Kylie Rae, especially because Kylie would be torn, not knowing if he should fight Su or not, because Su is Susie, but it's not Susie, it's Su. And now we have Susan, well, that's another story. So, I mean, they could have gone many different directions if Kylie Rae didn't quit wrestling. The last storyline I'm going to talk about is back from WWE in 2013. And that would be the female Shield. I mean, that sounds crazy, but let me put some context into it. Back in 2012, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins debuted on the main roster as the Shield, and they completely shook up the whole company. They revolutionized and paved the way for a new generation of superstars to start debuting in WWE. However, they were planning to do the same with the women, and there are already some segments on YouTube to prove that this was actually a real plan. They were not rumors. The stable was supposed to be formed by Paige, Summer Rae, and Anya. You're probably going to tell me, Alexis, who is Anya? Let me explain. So she was a diva back in 2013 and she was huge. She was supposed to be the Roman Reigns of the team, the muscle, while Paige and Summer Rae would probably go with the dirty tactics, the strategizing. I'm going to leave in the description the promos that they were filming in these tryouts maybe. Let's remember that back then the division was dominated by AJ Lee, Caitlyn, and we already had the Bella Twins, Natalya, Naomi there. So it could have been an interesting clash. I am not sure if they were planning maybe the Total Divas team against the Shield or the Women's Shield. I mean, why not? It sounds like an interesting combination. I feel like it was a bummer that this didn't happen, especially for Summer Rae, because I feel like she had so much potential, but she never really got the chance to shine in the main roster. So maybe this storyline could have been her breakout moment. I feel like Paige had a great career, but being the leader of this stable, maybe she could have some other accolades. As for Anya, I mean, she was released when this storyline was scrapped. There is no apparent reason why this happened. Probably they just didn't like the project at all. Anya was supposed to be part of this team, but when this storyline was scrapped, I think she broke her wrist. She got injured while training and they just released her a couple months after that. Such a shame for Anya. None of us would ever find out what was the direction for this team, but you can't deny that it sounds really refreshing and something very unusual, especially for the time that they were planning it for the women's division. So I would definitely would have liked to see this stable on the WWE. Alright, so this was part 7 of cancel storylines. I really want to know what are your opinions of all of these stories down in the comments. Which ones would you have loved to see and which ones were okay just being scrapped? I always ask this, but it's very important because I really want to know your opinions. I feel like every time I post these videos, I do my research, I have tried to investigate, and I would love to know what are your thoughts on everything that I've collected. Once again, I want to thank you for your support. Thank you very much, especially in the last video with DS. The reception was so awesome. We have grown a lot thanks to that collaboration, and I am really hoping that all of you like the content that I'm making. I know I'm struggling a little bit with time because of my personal life and my job, because the struggle is real, but I'm trying my best to keep posting content regularly. So thank you once again, and this is it for this video. I will see you next week with new videos, new ideas, and some creative content as always. Stay safe, and this kiss is for all of you. Bye!